Hi, my name is Marcus Ansems. I'm a master of wine. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to taste and talk about wine more confidently, and hopefully you don't end up sounding like a wine snob. Straight up, I'll admit it. Some people probably call me a wine snob. I've spent my whole career in the wine industry, and I really wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I love it, and I'm definitely a nerd when it comes to appreciating wine's complexity. I won't make any apologies for that. But on the one hand, I think you've got clear wine communication, and on the other hand, you've just got... Oh, it's like walking the Yorkshire Dales in springtime. After all, often we're talking about a wine that someone might not have tried yet. Reviewing wine actually reminds me a lot of trying to describe a music album to someone who's never heard the music before. And I think memories can sometimes be useful to describe wine, but we have to remember that everyone's got different backgrounds and smell memories, and sometimes they just don't translate well.
Oh, smells exactly like my brother Daryl. His cheap cologne on a really hot day. Strawberry jam mixed with toe jam. Smells just like my nan. She's dead. Oh, it's like Auntie Carol after a curry. Oh, smells just like it came out of a bear's bum. Oh, failure.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for personalizing wine reviews, and I've definitely done some odd ones in the past. But at the end of the day, it's about communicating, and that's just not effective if you're using references that no one else understands.
Oh, reminds me when I was sick on myself when I had too much of the orange cordial at Ron's wedding. Oh, it's a little bit like my pet lizard Barry when I was 10.
In any industry, you tend to develop your own vernacular, your own descriptive language. I mean, look at music. You've got different genres like jazz, pop, country, soft rock, hard rock, punk, metal, and then within each genre there's specific ways to describe the sound. Music has its own written language. It's got scales, treble clefs, bass clefs, minims, crotchets, vibratos, staccatos, and the list goes on. So you can't begrudge wine nerds if they use language that sounds a little fruity.
Jujubes.
People have different backgrounds, different smell memories. A common vernacular levels the playing field. People's perception of wine differs tremendously, and using what we call a tasting grid can help bridge that gap, albeit imperfectly. Many smells in wine can actually be linked to certain chemical compounds. For example, that black pepper smell that you sometimes get in Shiraz comes from a compound called rotundone, which is also found in black peppercorns. Other compounds like pyrazines, which you find in green bell peppers, are seen in unripe Cabernet Sauvignon. Interestingly, you also see this flavour in unripe Cabernet Franc and unripe Sauvignon Blanc, which happen to be the genetic parents of Cabernet Sauvignon. Wine's awesome, isn't it? So, is there a better way to do it? What about if we just use a system that breaks wine down into three things? See, smell, and taste. So number one, see. The appearance. What does the wine look like? Is it still or does it have bubbles? Is it clear or is it cloudy? Is it watery or is it opaque? What color is it? Is the color in the center the same as the color on the rim of the glass? You can actually get quite nerdy here. Next, smell. You ask, what does it smell like? How intense is that smell? What's the aroma? Aromas are flavors coming directly from the grapes. So that would be something like rose petal aromas in Gewürztraminer. Next, what's the bouquet? Bouquet are flavors coming from the winemaking process. So that would be vanilla from oak aging in barrels, as an example. Personally, I like to break the wine down into fruit and non-fruit. Something like black currants, blackberries, and violets in Chili and Merlot will be an example of fruit. Then you look at non-fruit, so that would be savory flavors. Example would be bready flavors in champagne, which would arise from leaving the wine on its yeast lees in bottle. Other weird ones that sometimes hear are tennis ball, wet dog, garden hose, kerosene, beef jerky, wet carpet, rain on a hot pavement, wet wool, tobacco, cat pee, fresh steak. Spices are often apparent in wines, and particularly those aged in barrel. Things like cloves, cinnamon, vanilla, nutmeg. Barrels can also introduce flavors like smoke, or coffee, coconut, chocolate. Next is taste. You look at the palate. Do the flavors on the nose carry through to the palate? What are the structural components? Structural components are not flavors, but rather affect how the wine feels in our mouths. When I'm talking about palates, I generally mean our tongues. These components are sweet. Is there any noticeable sugar? Sour, which is actually a measure of acidity. Heat and body, which is usually a measure of alcohol. Tannins. Tannins, the rough sensation that you get on your tongue, like a tongue depressor at the doctor's office or drinking cold tea. Next is bitterness, which is often in the rear and sides of your tongue. Next is length. How long do these flavors and sensations last? Now, while you assess the wine, you should ask yourself, what is the quality of this wine? Do I like it? Is this typical for the variety, style, or region? Is it balanced? Does the sweetness balance the acidity? Does the fruit balance the oak, etc.? Is it concentrated? Does it have enough stuffing? Is it complex? Is there more going on? Is it ageable? And does it have the necessary intensity, complexity, and balance to put in your cellar? So, putting it all together, you look at the wine, you check its color, clarity, condition, smell it, give it another swirl to release any volatile flavors, and take a sip, hold it in your mouth, draw a little bit of air through it to help the wine's volatile compounds to get up into your olfactory bulb, which is at the back of your throat. Then you swallow it or spit and think, how does it taste? How does it feel? And how long is it doing it? A perfectly good tasting note for a red wine might be deep purple color, nose of black fruit with some vanilla, full-bodied with soft tannins. That's it. It's good enough. White wine, pale green color, clear, smells like grass, palate fresh and crisp, slight sweetness on the finish. That's it. You don't need to get fancy. You just need to cover, see, smell, and taste. Do this simply and methodically every time, and you'll find your appreciation and confidence in any wine situation will improve over time. Wine is awesome. Drink in moderation. Have fun.
Flowers. Not the real ones, the plastic ones. Yeah, that's good. Where's my phone? I'm going to upload that one to Vivino.